All right. We are alive. What's up, everybody? Welcome to that session of the Masculine Mind podcast, where we focus on male improvement, masculinity, and purpose. We got some great men on the panel, and some more guests jumping on a little bit later. Hope we got a great show for you guys tonight. Thank you for joining and tuning in for this Friday. Hope you guys are ready. Get your popcorn ready. Let's get it.
What are we arguing about?
A man is gonna do what a man wants to do.
Yes, all on your wrist. Make you my wife, you no longer my bitch.
Let's get it. My name is Will. I'm the host of this show, the number one Polynesian podcast in the world.
Dripping in Versace. All these other hoes trying to copy.
Women tend to bounce around in relationships. They can't stick and stay in a long-term relationship.
Again, don't agree with this.
So let's say, are you still in it? Are you still in it?
No. So you're basically saying I'm a whore.
This content is not suitable for the children under the age of 18 without adult supervision. Please be advised.
So I just wanted to take the time and make this video to apologize to absolutely nobody. What's up, everybody? Welcome to that session of the Golf God podcast. You guys already know, my name is Will. I'm the host of this live show, number one Polynesian podcast in the world. As you guys can see, if you're tuning in for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. We have a great show for you guys. And of course, all my subscribers out there, people who like and subscribe to my channel, thank you so much for all the love and support. You guys already know what to do. If you love the content, smash and press that like and subscribe button real quick so you do get notifications when we do go live every single week. I see RIP Nation, you guys. I see you guys tuning in already on the live show. Thank you so much. I see RIP Nation already. Say, let's go, rolling up. Hey, what's up, RIP Nation? And I see BL17 said, ready, popcorn ready, wine ready, ready to go, beer ready. Let's get this party started. I'm betting I'll be fat. I'll be a fat one tonight. All right, no worries, BL17. And I see Rose say, well, yo. Hey, what's up, Rose? Always good to see you in the live chat. Definitely join us tonight. We have a great topic to discuss tonight. And that's the MZ Carol, like always, popcorn, wine, ready. Thank you so much, all you guys tuning in from the live chat. So don't forget, this is a live show. So always appreciate your live comments, whether you agree or disagree on the different topics and the different things that we're going to discuss tonight. Let me know what you guys think. Positive, negative. I always like to hear your feedback and your 2 cents of what you guys think on the different things that we're going to discuss tonight. Don't forget, this is a open podcast. A lot of you guys reach out to me, you want to be part of it. I will be post a public link on the YouTube live chat. So if you're watching this from Twitch and Facebook, come to YouTube. I'll pin it to the top of the screen. Click on that link, and you'll definitely come on. I know a lot of you guys do agree, especially those who do disagree. A lot of people do reach out to me, and we have conversations either on the Discord or on offline, and then we just have conversations on all the different things that we discuss. I would love to invite you guys to come on and have open conversation. We do have a Discord. We do have a Discord group chat for the Golf Club podcast. If you want to continue the conversations, I will post a Discord on the live chat. And of course, at the end of the show, I'll post it once again. So if everybody out there do want to have conversation with anybody on the panel, if you have a conversation after the podcast, once we're done, and continue on a open chat, join our Discord, the Golf Club podcast Discord, where we have open conversations after the podcast. Don't forget the super chats. I always appreciate you guys supporting me financially with your pockets. If you have a specific topic, any questions that you guys want to ask us directly, and you want the live panel to respond to you guys, ask it through a super chat donation, and we definitely get the panel to respond to any questions or topics that you guys want us to discuss that's related to the main topic for tonight. And every donation goes back into our podcast. I appreciate you guys always supporting me with your pockets, and of course to help me launch my podcast studio going into next year, 2023. But nevertheless, that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. I really want to dive deep into this topic. I know we have a hot topic, controversial topic that we're going to discuss tonight. I know a lot of the ladies and the fellas were interested on this topic tonight. I know this is going to be a very interesting conversation tonight. So thank you so much for everybody out there. But fellas, once again, shout out to you, Balafista Siaosi. Thank you for always taking the time to be part of the Masculine Mind podcast that we host every single Friday for the men out there. But I know a lot of some for the people out there watching this right now who may not know who we are. Fellas, if you guys don't mind, give yourselves a quick introduction, everybody out there, and then we'll go right into the topic that we're going to discuss tonight. I'll start with you, Balafista. Go ahead and give yourself a quick intro.
I think my face should be a little bit familiar to a lot of you guys who are watching, but if you don't, my name is Taniela, and I am currently in New Zealand. Vast majority of my experience have been self-taught and have been lived through. So to be a part of this podcast, and not only that, to be amongst a panel of men who look out into the status quo and decide to challenge it is an honor and a privilege. So without taking too much time, I'll hand it back to you, Will, and let's get it.
All right, let's get it. Definitely. Paulo Feza, always a pleasure. Thank you for jumping on. I'll pass it to you, Siaosi. Siaosi, give yourself a quick intro for everybody out there.
A good intro. Siaosi Fri Nov here, guys. Geez, where do I start? Born and raised in Tonga. Became a private investigator at 19 for 12 years. Owned a gym, a dancing studio, and basically an entrepreneur. And I love having this type of dialogue. And like Professor said, really just taking a look at the world and mingle our minds and see what we can come up with. So beautiful stuff.
All right, Siaosi, always a pleasure. The man, the myth, the legend himself. Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to have you on the Golf Club podcast. And of course, shout out to everybody in the live chat. Shout out to you guys for watching right now. Thank you so much. Let's get that live chat popping now. Let me know what you guys think. Let's get that. Let's start participating. Let's participate like always. If you're watching for the first time, let's participate and get on the live chat. And of course, you guys already know the topic that we're going to discuss tonight. It's on the bottom of the screen. How does a man tell his wife she's fat? All right. I know for a lot of fellas, this is one of the most hardest conversations, so probably the hardest conversation you're probably ever gonna have. It's interesting to do. When I posted this flyer, a lot of men were reaching out. A couple of men did reach out, and mostly were women. But then men reached out. Some of the men reached out and asked me that they don't know how to navigate this. They don't know how to approach this. It's one of the things that they just, I think for a lot of guys, they find it, they don't know what to do to have this conversation with not only with the woman, the girlfriend, but most importantly, their wife. So it's going to be an interesting conversation to have. Thank you, Paulo Feza and Siaosi, for the courage.
The courage it is.
to have this
How the hell did we come up with this topic in the first place?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely taking notes tonight. I'm definitely gonna be taking notes. I don't really have much to add to this topic, but I'm more of a spectator, but I'm gonna speak my mind. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be taking notes tonight because I would definitely would love to know how to navigate this when I do get married one day. So but without further ado, I saw an interesting video. This guy did make. It was on this topic, so I'm just gonna play it real quick just to give some context for everybody out there watching this on the live chat, and then I'll come back full circle for everybody out there. So let me play the video real quick, and then I'll come back to you guys. And of course, everybody, as you're watching the video and as you're reacting to the video, let me know what you guys think on the live chat, and especially the women and the men as well. So and of course, I'll post a public link right after this, so that way if any of you guys want to jump on. And I definitely want to invite the ladies. I definitely want to invite you guys. I definitely want to hear the female perspective when it comes to this topic. So let me play the video real quick, and I'll definitely come back. All right, there we go.
But she already knows that. So she doesn't need you making comments every moment you get. She knows what's on the scale. She knows what she sees in the mirror. And you insulting her isn't helping her. It's simply making things worse. So if you want to inspire change, be a leader. Why don't you go to the grocery store and buy healthy food for everybody? Why don't you join the gym and lose the extra pounds that's around your waist? Why don't you educate yourself on what it's like to be fit, on how to lose this weight? Why don't you help her instead of demeaning her?
All right. So yeah. I saw this video. I mean, there's different types of videos out there on social media. So this one I saw had a really interesting perspective. But but yeah, as obviously for a lot of guys, especially a lot of young men, when we date our women, we find, I think most men, they find their women beautiful and attractive, and that's one of the things that we love in our women in the relationship. So it's gonna be this topic is something that I do notice that a lot of guys they find it hard to have, especially once the commitment is there and the years go by, and both the woman is not as the same as when you first met her. So, but yeah, fellas, you guys know the topic that we're gonna discuss tonight. How does a man tell his wife she's fat? You saw the reaction video, but yeah, I know a lot of fellas, a lot of guys did reach out that this is one of the hardest conversations to have. So it'll be very interesting to hear your conversations because I know both of you guys are married. So I'll start with you, Professor. I'll start to open up the conversation. What's your initial thoughts? So open up the conversation for the topic tonight. How does a man tell his wife she's fat? Go ahead, Professor.
By telling her that she's fat. I think where these communications are often lost is that men try throw hints at their women in regards to their weight, and I agree with the video. I agree with the video in the sense of, as men, it is our responsibility to be the leaders, to ensure that what we're bringing into our family, including our wives, who through childbirth, through stress, through whatever it is that goes on in the home dynamic, that we communicate these things through. Men, these conversations that I usually have with men, what I hear is that how do I tell my wife that she's sort of letting herself go? By having that conversation, by saying, look, this might not sound good to you, but we're a unit. If you need, after you hear this, if you need to take a break to process and then come back, do so. But we're heading in the direction that we're both not going to be healthy. And in the after show last week, Siaosi made a very powerful point in the sense of what I say is what I intend. There is no hidden agenda. There's no hidden meaning. What I say and what I speak is exactly how I want you to understand it. There is nothing in there that I'm trying to hurt you or that I'm trying to push you in a certain direction. If it's rough around the edges, then it's rough around the edges. Let's get past beyond that. The biggest thing that a lot of guys need to also know is that you cannot have this conversation if your wife does not respect you. If your wife does not respect you, you will find it 100 times harder to have this conversation with her. You need to find whatever it is that you're lacking that does not make you the leader of that relationship and that she does not respect you. Find that. Get yourself on a journey in order to have her respect you again as the man of the house, or whatever it is in your dynamic. Those conversations comes from a place where your wife respects you or your girlfriend respects you is a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to navigate than you lacking in areas and responsibilities as a husband, a boyfriend, or a father, and having those conversations. So have that conversation, say it how it is, and again, paraphrasing what Siaosi said, is making sure that she knows you are not sugarcoating nothing, you're not trying to hide any agenda. What I say is what I mean.
All right, no worries, Professor. Appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. I definitely wrote some things down. We'll definitely circle back. I'll start with Siaosi. I'll pass it to you. What's your initial thoughts? Open up the conversation.
Yeah.
How does a man tell his wife she's fat?
That's the craziest part, right? How do you tell someone that you truly care about and really you appreciate that they're overweight? How do you do that? Like, nobody's given us a book on how to do that. But I can only talk about my experience of my life and how it showed up. And first of all, I didn't have the courage. I didn't have the courage to say, let me help you, let me train you, let me take care of your physical being so that you can be different. In that moment, I had to be okay with where she's at. I literally had to be okay with where she's at, regardless of how big her hips was or how big her shoulder was getting. And I'm just talking about tonguing, my wife, Ida, at that time. when she was going through what she was going through. And it is tough. I can only say that I didn't have the courage to simply say what was there for me, and the way it bothered me in so many ways, because we were brought up to never say those kind of things. Like the environment and the people around us don't. It's a taboo conversation. We're taught to love the people or love the one that you love just the way that they are, and that's why majority of us or majority of Polynesian people just let themselves go, right? Because it's unconditional love. It becomes unconditional love, regardless of what's going on in our mind about whether you like it or not. You make it unconditional love because that's the way you were brought up. Even though it hinders and even though it comes around, it chops things up. It's just the way that we condition ourselves. And what I've discovered in a decade of before I was able to say something is that I had to be patient with myself and really get for myself what it means to say, you know what, we need to do something. But it took me over a decade to actually have that conversation. And then after that conversation, it still took a few more months for it to manifest into, yeah, let's do it, right? Yeah, so there's no goddamn book that tells us how to tell our loved ones or the one that we truly love that they're fat. And this is now we're playing with words and what fat means and how people perceive fat and that they receive the word fat, right? Because when we say fat, it means maybe to some people it means hate. So there we have to, for me is I had to understand what the word fat is for myself and how it's received. So that way I'm not walking around with my own idea of what fat is. So there's a lot of meanings that people give meaning to what fat is. And so here we go. It's going to be an awesome conversation. How do you tell your woman or the people that you love that, you know what, you're getting a little fat? How do you do that? Without hurting them. I think that's the key. How do you have a conversation with the one that you love that they are fat or they're getting bigger without hurting them? Woo! Good luck, Professor.
All right. No worries. Thank you so much, Siaosi. Let me read some comments real quick because I like where you left it off, and I'll definitely come back to that, right? I see MC Carroll said on the live chat, said, it's my job to keep myself healthy and my family. Communication between the two is key. No worries. I see Ria on the live chat. Hey, good to see you, Ria. Just be plain honest. Come with me to the gym because you're fat. All right, no worries. All right, Rose Santo Bricanti. Rose, always good to see you. If the guy's fat too, he has no say. If he's healthy, she wouldn't get to point K. All right, no worries. And then of course, I think Nundazi. I think the first time I seen you here in the live chat. Shout out to you. I need to show this to my husband. LOL. Hey, good to see you. First time here in a live chat.
That's awesome.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I see RRP Nation, like always, says, yeah, the boys. Hey, shout out to you, RP Nation. No worries. Thank you so much. I just posted the public link on the YouTube live chat. So anybody out there wants to jump on, be part of the podcast, click on that link. Especially the ladies, I would love to hear the female perspective on this topic. It's gonna be a very interesting topic. Let me pass it back to you, fellas. I think Siaosi said something, and I want to ask you guys real quick. He said that how do you tell your wife that she's fat without hurting her? So my question to, I guess, both of you, Professor Siaosi, is there a way to tell your wife without hurting her, or the reality is it's inevitable? Like they're gonna be hurt.
It's going to hurt.
Yeah, go ahead, Professor.
The reality is going to hurt.
Yeah,
and it hurts in the sense of, as we understand women, they're emotional creatures. So if they understand that your metric as a man is physicality and you make these comments, of course it's going to hurt. It hurts her because you're talking about an image that she's... And let's be real here. If you're in a relationship and your wife has had a baby, there is no goddamn way that she can spring back to how she was prior to a baby. It's unrealistic for a man to sit here and think, oh, she's going to be just like how she was before. Her body changes throughout childbirth, all these things. But there is a healthy way of getting back to at least a good baseline. It is always going to hurt these conversations, whether it's her gaining weight, whether it's an image of her, the way that she displays herself to the world. These conversations will hurt. However, communication, comprehension, and having trust in your relationship is what's going to be able to navigate those conversations. I think this touches a lot deeper in a lot of things where we fail to communicate because we don't want to hurt the other person. Right? We forego these conversations because we do not want to hurt the other person. The way that I understand relationship, and this is how me and my wife are, is that I promise you to be honest to the degree that I will stand here until you come back and we can have this conversation again. I'm not going to walk away from you and leave you in your own chaos, in your own pain, or in whatever it is that you're going through. I will be honest. And I will be honest to the point where if it's a issue that we both need to work on, then we need to work on. But I'm not going to sugarcoat whatever it is, because I love you too damn much as the woman I would choose to be, to allow things to just go the way that they are. At the end of the day, we're a team, and as Siaosi like to refer to it, partnership. And that's how it works. That we are going to get through this, whatever way that we choose. But to, I think, get away from this whole idea of, for whoever's listening, that you can do it without hurting her. It's going to hurt. And especially as the way we communicate as men, we are very rough around the edges when we say things. So the way to navigate is make sure that you clean your own bed, sort of thing. If you're coming from a place where she does not respect you, or you're overweight yourself, it's not going to go as you would like. Start the journey, like the video mentioned. Get yourself to the gym. Go and buy healthier food. Start a routine. But be the leader. Lead her in a direction where you're both going, that it's going to benefit not only yourself, but your family altogether.
All right. Professor, thank you for sharing. Same thing as Siaosi. What do you think? Is there a way that you can avoid the pain, or they're gonna be hurt in anyways, regardless?
Yeah, there's definitely more than one way of having a conversation that would land on the other side as that powerful enough that they can understand. Now, that all comes in how you say things and your intentions in the way that you're being when you're saying the words, right? So your intention is, if your intention, the way that you're being is not to hurt, it shows as authentic, right? And it shows as calm and collected. And there's no, the facial expression is just is, right? Once again, we go back, it's truly how you say it. Once again, I go back to what I've gone through is I had to learn to be calm and collected to actually say those words. Hey, can I help you? And to start losing those pounds. And the initial was, no, I got it. I can do this on my own. Right? The initial conversation was, no, I got it. I can do it on my own. For a decade. And then at the same time, I had to sit down and relax and just enjoy and allow her to figure it out for herself. Because her confidence comes, her confidence really truly came from allowing her to decide for her. Because it wasn't me. She's not going to do it for me. Most women are not going to do it for anybody but themselves. And it can go as long as they want, or it can go as short as they want. Because they're going to have to make that choice for themselves. No woman is going to make a choice for somebody else other than for themselves. Right? So that's why I knew that I had to be calm and collected and stay the course of, I got your back and I'll support you whenever you need me. So there's many ways of having that conversation. But you, the man, have to lead the conversation in a way that lands on the other side is that I care and I love you. Because we're kind of rough these days. You get that? We're rough. We're rough in our language. As if women are already the way that they are in the way that they receive information. we have to be smarter than ourselves. Another, we have to truly be smarter than ourselves to have women hear things differently. So if we go back to what Professor says, about it's all communication. Without having communications that land on the other side, as I love you, and we're going to work through this, and I'll let you decide for yourself or choose for yourself when you're ready to get it done, then we'll get it done. Other than that, there's no such thing as forcing things to happen, right? Can't force an outcome like that. So that's where I'm at.
All right, no worries.
Yeah, I just want to add on to, not add on, but just what Siaosi mentioned is that we are a team and that we are going to get through this together. This is what's missing in a lot of the conversation that I hear, is that oftentimes men are trying to throw hints or somewhat throw shades at their wives or their girlfriends of how they are and how they look. It's not any way of giving someone that feeling of, this is a relationship where I feel powerful. However, this is the journey that we're going to take ourselves in. That is key. That we are going through this together, you and I. This is going to be our goal, and this is what we're going to achieve. If you're a man who's trying to navigate this conversation with your wife, and you keep throwing, you look fat or whatever it is, however it is that some men throw in, you're never going to get the result that you want. You're a team. The whole point of a relationship is that you're one unit. You do it together. It's not a you problem. It's a us. It's a we problem.
Right.
And we've got to do it.
And it's so awesome, right? Because there's an opportunity everywhere in life. And if we can take a look at health as an opportunity to take something on that's powerful. Because we go back, it's a condition. If we can uncondition what we conditioned to be, if in other words, we have gotten to where we're at because we've done something for a long period of time that gives us the results, we can always uncondition that way. And it really takes, like you said, Professor, it takes partnership. So that way that one feels like that they're being supported every way, right? And the moment somebody turns around and makes you wrong, then that person that's starting to drive forward starts to backing up because they're no longer feeling that they are being supported. So it's a side by side, giving each other that what they need to do and how to, and ask each other, how can I help you? Help me out on this. How can I help? It's once again we go back. It's the dance in working your way out of being obese or unhealthy to getting to a level that you're comfortable in your own skin. It's a dance. It's a dance. It's a beautiful dance.
All right. Hey, fellas, I have a question for you guys. I know both of you guys mentioned a lot of great things, and I think the biggest thing I heard from you guys is communication, right? I know, Professor, you mentioned that we have to be upfront and very direct, right? So I guess I'm just playing the devil's advocate. Is it possible to communicate this in a way that this is a priority and this is something that it's very important and be serious without the word fat? Or do you believe this conversation can only be had if you have to say the word fat to you have to be honest? Or is it possible you word it different, kind of, like I said, a lot of women, some men out there, they may not be strong, they may not be comfortable saying the word fat. Let me just say overweight. That video was like, what, don't tell her. She already knows she's fat, so there's no point of telling her she's fat. She already knows it. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think. Do you think, can you have this conversation and not say the word fat at all, or you have to say the word fat just for her to understand that this is something that it's important conversation we have? Or is it possible to use a different word like overweight? You're not healthy, but I don't know. I feel like if you soften it, I don't think it provides us how important this conversation is. I think for me personally, I think you have to say the word fat for her to understand this is real. This is a real thing, and I'm being honest with you as a man. But this, but do you think it's possible to have the same conversation to give the same kind of importance and priority, and we have to do this now? It's not something we delay. A week from now, a month from now. We have to start this as soon as possible. But we can remove. But we can remove the word fat. Do you think that's possible or no?
My outlook on this is that if you're at a point where you're having to have this conversation, you've already gone too far off. You've already gone too far off as a couple, right? And use whatever is effective, and like you say, the fat is the most effective. But here's the thing that we need to also acknowledge with women, especially in our relationship, is that having harsher conversation don't always yield the best results like we do with men.
Yeah.
I can call your bullshit out and you can call mine, and that's a lot more effective than me sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
What I found with women is that it's a lot different in terms of there has to be some level of tolerance in terms of how we word things in order to get the message across. And I explained this in the part of intimacy. I don't know whether it was in the podcast or not, whether it was in the after show. But in order to have these conversations, it needs to be important right from the get-go. When you go out, when you start dating, this needs to be a thing that is communicated right from the get, and then monitor it throughout the relationship. If you're just springing up one morning and go, oh shit, my wife's fat.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, you as a man have to take ownership of that you haven't led your unit or your partnership, as Siaosi mentioned, down a direction where you're happy with. You've allowed things to go the way that they are to numerous reasons. So without dancing too much around the word fat, yes, we can use the word fat, but also at the same time, this is a woman you love. This is the woman that you're taking on this journey with. These conversation turns very differently versus a conversation that you're having with just a random woman or with just a random man. I can do that with you, and you can do that with me. However, with what I found with women is that they're sensitive creatures, so there has to be additional things put in order to make that work. And I've mentioned it previously, is that there is not an inch in my wife's body where I have not made love to. And the reason for that is to celebrate that her body is going through changes. However, it's important that we still look as if we are the strongest unit when we enter a room, that no one can fuck with us. So within her own world and how she perceives that, she makes her conscious effort. She walks the kids to school. She asks me, oh, can I go and join the gym? Sure, go for it. But I also have to put myself accountable in the sense of, I'm gaining a bit of weight. I'm still sitting above 100 kgs. So my wife's kicking my ass now in terms of, all right, we're a team. Okay, you do you and figure that out, and then I'll join you. But I think when we have these conversations in terms of a relationship, is that communication needs, and what Siaosi is saying is that we need to figure out where the middle ground is. This is a woman that we've choose to be with. So don't push her too far off in terms of she understands herself. She looks at herself in the mirror. However, it's without sugarcoating too much, you gain a bit of weight. And I understand that the reason why you've gained that weight is I haven't respected you and loved you enough to make sure that that was a priority. I want that to be a priority, and here are some reasons for it. So let's put a routine together.
Okay. So if you have this conversation in the beginning of the relationship, Officer, you wouldn't have to use the word fat. You can kind of sugarcoat it a little bit, right? Sugarcoat a little bit.
This goes back to when I used to share. You have to manage your expectation as a man.
Okay.
Be brutally honest in the beginning. These are things that are non-negotiable for me. These are things that I'm going to compromise with. Physical health is something that is truly important to me. And if ever we get ourselves further away from that goal, remind me, or we will have this conversation and we'll do something about it.
Yeah.
People are so afraid of missing out on a woman or a man that they don't have these conversations. It's a lot harder to spring it up if you've never said that from the beginning.
Okay. Well, no worries. Thank you, Professor. Man, I'm writing notes right now. Let me pass it to you. Siaosi, same thing. Communication is important. Do you think it's can you have the same conversation and communicate it without using the word fat? Or do you have to use it? Or do you have to use it? You have to use the word
Listen, I didn't use that word, that's for sure. But I want to go back to what Professor said about he has made love to every part of his wife's body. It's something that is the most beautiful thing I ever heard in my entire life. The most beautiful. Like that's being loved authentically, loving every part of your wife, every imperfection, every little bit of who she is. It's so beautiful and like well said. I mean, and this is what we men are going to have to really take a look at who we are. It's not where the wife is at. And what I've gotten from professors sharing is it's not about the wife. It doesn't matter where she's at. What matters is the way he created himself to look at his wife. It's such a beautiful share. And I hope what I got for myself, I hope that every single man that listens to this get what that means, that he's created for himself, that the way that he sees his wife is love. And it doesn't matter where shape he's at. That he's touched and he's just feel and he's felt every part of her body and he's made love to from the top to her toes. Damn. I wish I said that. Right? I wish I would have said that. It's beautiful. It's such an awesome way of recreating yourself and creating the one that you love, that they're whole and complete in who they are as an individual, regardless of the imperfection, that they are perfection in their own way. Beautiful. And going back to you used the word love, fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't use that word. I was very careful with my word because I do love her in so many ways.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't use any other word other than, how can I help you? Can I train you? Can I train you? Right? Can I train you and let's lose the extra few pounds? And I think that was enough to get something started. And like for herself, because Professor talked about earlier about, women go through many stages of their life. If you had a baby, on my wife's case, she had 2 kids, and the fluctuation of her body, right, of her whole being fluctuated up and down constantly. And there's one point where she got a little bit thicker and thicker and thicker. And what I also got is that her body was dealing with a lot of things, her hormones in imbalance, and that her body was going to take over and do what it's going to need to do, right? Until she figured a way for her and her body to regulate her own body. Getting more sleep, eating the right food, making sure that certain things are balanced, a lot of things that are balanced out in her life, and that she's not stressed. We had to get all of that out of the way before, she can start seeing something different for herself. So it's a tough conversation, but I wouldn't recommend using that word fat, because that's digging into a different hole, right? Because the way, once again, we go back to the way that people hear fat is so negative. It's a word that is derogatory in so many ways.
Yeah.
So we want to remove all the negative aspect of it. And I think one point that we almost want to pick out is, or have it stand out, is having women understand the impact that it has on the relationship. There is an impact that they may not be aware of as they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And in terms of the intimacy part, and for somebody that hasn't done the self-work, like Professor has done the work for themselves to understand who they are and who the woman is, right? So there's a lot of work to be done. So when I say that, there's a lot of work to be done by females to take a look at themselves and where they're at this moment, and also for male to take a look at where they're at and how they're going to support each other, instead of using word like fat to get women all wild up. like, I wouldn't want to do that. That'd be your job, Will.
All right, no worries, no worries. Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for watching, MZ Carroll. Always a pleasure. I see Logic back on the live chat. Logic said, I agree with Balafessa. If your woman is fat, then as a man, you took your foot off the gas pedal at some point. Men to hold women accountable. All right, no worries. Thank you so much, everybody out there. Don't forget to, let's get that live popping. I appreciate you guys watching so far. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, you guys want to jump on, click on that link and jump on as a public guest, especially the ladies. Ladies, if you're watching this right now, if you guys are just chilling at home and got nothing else to do, just click on that link. You're already watching. Click on that link and jump on. I would love to hear from the women, especially the wives out there. If you had that conversation with your husband, if you had that conversation with your man, I would love to hear from the female perspective. So I want to talk about we talked about you're gonna have this conversation with your woman. Obviously, the pain is inevitable. She's gonna be hurt or probably take it in a negative way. So it's safe to assume, fellas, right, that there will be repercussions towards you as a man from the woman. So when you have this conversation with your woman, for all the men out there, like, you have to understand that your woman will probably get upset and probably do some things, give you the silent treatment or something. So is that fair to say, fellas, Balafessa, that there's going to be repercussions, and as a man, don't let that deter your courage to keep having these conversations and not just give in. You know what? I'm tired. I don't want her to get too mad, or she's giving me the silent treatment. I'll probably stop having this conversation, just let it be, or just stay the course. Pat, what do you think, Balafessa?
So the course, the benefit of a healthy lifestyle, we all understand this. I think everyone who has ever done anything in regards to health understands the benefit. But here's one of the most important things, or a few of the important things that you as a man need to do, is that you need to figure out where it is in the relationship that, does she respect you or not? These conversations, with how I navigate these conversations, that my wife respects me entirely with who she is as a woman. And even though it may sound harsh, she'll come back and go, what did you mean by that? And I know that I'm getting emotional by hearing that, but what did you mean by that? And as I keep referring to Siaosi, because what he said is extremely powerful, is that what I said is what I mean. There's no two ways about it. I'm not trying to hide anything behind the words that I'm using. It is exactly how I've said it. And if it sounds rough, look, I'll learn how to deliver that a little bit better to you. However, this is the instance of where I have to communicate to you. The other thing too is that intimacy is a very important key in having these conversations too. If you are lacking in intimacy in how you treat and love your woman, this is not going to go down well, because you're now further pushing her. Not only have you lacked intimacy, she does not look at you and feel that she is being appreciated for who she is, but now you've just thrown a big Molotov into the mix, and now she goes, I don't have the intimacy, and now my husband or my boyfriend is looking at me as some creature that he no longer recognizes. Why do I need to try anymore if I don't get the love that I need, and yet now he's pushing me? These are the things that I understand most women go through. If the intimacy is lacking, you can stay the course for however long you want, but all you're doing is pushing the woman you've chosen to be with into a corner, and whether she explodes in any different manner that she does, but it's not going to help. Improve intimacy. Improve the way that you speak to the woman that you love, and then have these conversations in the sense of, what I say is what I mean. You can take some time, go away and process it, come back. And if I need to redefine this to you in a way that you understand it as a woman, help me do that. But this is exactly what I mean, is what I say.
Oh man, that's powerful, man. Intimacy, where she feels appreciated in a relationship, to trust you to have this conversation about her body, right?
Yeah, and this is where we have to catch ourselves as men, is that oftentimes when we let our foot off the gas, is that we also start distancing ourselves from the woman that we love. Oh, yeah. She's grown overweight. Oh, I don't feel attracted as I was. You have to catch yourself in that moment and go, okay, I need to have this conversation, but I also need to make her feel that she's the woman that I will always come back to.
Yeah.
Where whatever the world throws at me, this is the woman I choose to be with, and I will always come back to her. And the one way that you can show that to your woman is intimacy. That is how she truly knows that regardless of whatever the world throws at her and whatever words that you're throwing at her, you are going to come back to her each and every time.
What I took away from what you just said right now is like, for the men out there right now that have been putting the effort to love your woman, appreciate your woman, respect her body, love her body. This conversation is going to be, and you kind of build some kind of degree of intimacy. This conversation is probably going to be good for you. It's not going to be no good, but it's going to be a lot easier to navigate than a guy that right now, if you're as a guy right now that's watching this right now and you've just been treating your woman like shit, like, oh, you're fat, you're calling her names, calling out her insecurities, making fun of her insecurities, not kind of build that intimacy. If you have this conversation, it's pretty much going to be like a ticking time bomb in your relationship. If you're just being making fun or mocking or calling out her insecurities in your relationship this whole time, right?
Yeah, and I think when people do that, especially us males, I don't think you deserve to be called a man. That's not how a man deals with these conversations. It's tough. Yeah. It needs to be said, but we need to do it in the way that men do. Is it direct and that I respect you and that I love you, therefore I'm not going to insult you. We're a team. If I insult you, then therefore I insult myself. It's not going anywhere. And this is what what I taken from that video is that oftentimes guys insult the woman that they choose. Buddy, you made the decision to be with her in the first place. So if you're insulting her, you're insulting the choice that you made. So therefore you don't respect yourself to the degree that you need to. So whatever way that you have to have this conversation, insulting should never be a part of that. Be a man about it. And if it hurts, look, find your woman, give her a big old hug and say, look, this is not to insult you and this is not to push you further away. I want to love you just as much as I loved you from the first time I met you. Help me so that we're both doing this together. We're a team.
Okay.
And know that I'm never going to leave you, and this is something that we're both going to make a conscious effort to move forward in life with.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because you're talking about that new way of having a communication that truly works, and it has to start from the beginning. Like this type of conversation, the opening to the new idea of that any conversation that would come up that we can have, right, in communication, really has to start from the beginning. And if it doesn't happen in the beginning, somebody's going to have to figure out how are they going to communicate with each other without hurting each other, or which way what kind of word that we get to use as a keyword that would allow us to be okay with having a conversation. And this goes back to, we're going to have to learn to have some distinction in life, that our conversation is what it is and not what you make up, right? And this is where we get to be powerful. Once we can have words and we distinct things for ourselves. As the professor has talked about earlier, what I say is what I said. It has no added meaning other than what I say, right? And this is where the conversation needs to start from the get-go, so that way you can build on it. If you're coming in the middle of it, it's a lot harder to build courage from the middle of the game. If you build that courage from the beginning of it, then it gets easier and easier, because you can then say what's there for you. And you're not kind of sitting there thinking, should I or should I not? Maybe I should hold back. And what holds people back from not building the courage is that they haven't practiced to have the courage just to have an open mind and open communication, right? So we men have to build open communication from the get-go, so that way any conversation that arises, it's open. It's definitely open.
Yeah. No worries. Thank you for sharing that, Siaosi. Let me read some comments real quick. I see MZ Carrollson said, I've been skinny. I've been both skinny and fat. I will never go back to that weight. And my husband has been supporting me in changing the way we all eat. No worries. Thank you so much, MZ Carroll. Nice. And then Rose Rose in the live chat. Why not cook for her and go to yoga with her to encourage her? No worries, no worries. I don't know, Rose. I don't want to give her. I don't want her to give up her other duties. You know. Yeah.
I think she may have, touched on something that's very important, like the supportive part. Like I said, I've been a health coach for a long period of time, and what I realized and what I've got for myself in training all women in my life is that women come to the gym for one reason. Like there's something that's missing in their life. Truly missing in their life. And if somebody that's overweight, there's something definitely that's going on, right? And I have to take a look back, what is the relationship? And it always goes back to what is the relationship with their husband. Something in the area of their life is not working, right? And the only way that I found so far to help people that are going through that process is to really get them to see the impact of what's going on in their relationship and how they can fix their relationship that would allow her to be at peace with her, who she is, and at peace with who the spouse is, that she can take on something newly. And something new is her relationship with her food.
Yeah.
There is a relationship with that's going on outside of food that builds that food becomes part of it. So, right, if we can get to the source of why is she so stressed out, what is it about the husband, and what is the hell is the husband doing that has her so stressed out that she's doing anything and everything and eating anything and everything to feel like that she is whole and complete. Then we can get to the source. The source is what's going up here. So it's a big conversation, but we always have to go back to where's the origin? When did this start? Why did it start? And start and working it backwards. And it's a lot of work. It's not easy as most people say. Most people say go to the gym and you're figured out. It's beyond that. The gym is the last bit of people seeking help before they blow up. When I mean blow up, before they go crazy, before they lose everything, right? So, yeah, it's a bigger conversation than we have it.
Okay. All right, no worries. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Siaosi. It seems like to me that this conversation, and I think Professor, you brought it up that you can't have this conversation if she doesn't respect you as a leader, right? So for me, like this conversation is more, even though we are talking about the women being fat, prioritizing her health in a relationship, especially the way you guys look as a team. But it's pretty much, pretty much to me, what it sounds like on a deeper level, this conversation is a reflection of your leadership as a man. That if you fulfill your relationship, if you had your expectation early in the beginning, and you maintained it throughout the relationship and had those conversations early, and you are the leader to make her feel safe, not only physically, but emotionally, spiritually, just loving her body, and like you just said, you've made love to every inch of her body. That this conversation will be something that's going to be easier to navigate. But as a man, if you can't have this conversation, or you're afraid to have this conversation, it's not really about the conversation itself. It's more a reflection of your leadership. As a man, you kind of have to look within yourself. I don't know if that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it. The way that I see it. And I've shared this before too, is that me and my wife has got a really potty mouth. And the reason why we do that is because arguments for us is we need to get to an issue. There's a clash in values, and oftentimes in the heat of passion, words are going to be thrown, especially swear words. And I want to take away the power of getting lost in words rather than listening for what the issue is and directly addressing it. My wife calls me a bitch whenever I do certain things. I do the same. And it's no longer a word where, oh, how dare you? You've called me a certain word. It's not that. But yeah, the conversation is more of a reflection of the leadership that you put in. And I guess this is where it becomes overwhelming for some men, is that they understand this fundamentally, is that for me to have this conversation, I am acknowledging deep down that I have failed somewhere along the line, that I did not maintain the leadership that I promised this woman that I choose to be with. So it puts them in a place where I don't want to hurt her, but also at the same time, I'm also accepting that I have too failed. So it is a reflection, and a lot of us as men do not like to acknowledge, especially in the four walls that we confine ourselves to, that we've failed.
Okay. And then, Siaosi, same question to you. Yeah. Do you think that this conversation, even though it is an important conversation to have, but it's more, I guess the deeper conversation beyond this conversation is more a reflection of you as a man, of your leadership and not being accountable for your wife to get to that point.
It could be.
Yeah.
So when I say that it could be, there's a word that Professor uses a lot, is accountability.
Yeah.
And I love that word, because she has to be accountable for herself, and also the male has to be accountable for themselves. Right? You both have to be accountable for what you're doing and who you are and the way that you're being around your relationship. Without accountability, nothing works. Or as we say, without integrity, nothing works. Right? So what would when you're married, there's an opportunity for both of you that you come together as one, and you get to share the responsibility. You get to share the responsibility, like I'm responsible for you and you're responsible for me, and we keep each other accountable. What would life look like if you walk into a relationship like that? How can I be responsible for you, and how can you be responsible for me? And at the other hand, I'm going to be responsible for myself 100%, and you'll be responsible for you, and we come meet halfway, and we bring value to the table. We literally bring valuable to the table. Because if we're both responsible for ourselves, which also means that we can also hold each other up. We can hold each other up.
All right. I have a curveball I want to throw you guys real quick. I want to throw you guys a quick curveball. So what is it? Because I had a conversation with one of my friends about this topic. Pacific Islander. Both of them, both the male and the female, let themselves go. Have you guys ever heard of the term, the point of no return, when it comes to your weight?
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of that term? Yeah. It's when you become so fat that you've lost all. You know what? I'm past this. I'm 300 pounds. I'm 350. There's a certain weight for a lot of people. When they get too fat, they get to a point where they're just so overweight that the amount of work for them to go back is just too much for them. They're just like, you know what, fuck it. It is what it is. They've accepted the fact that they're gonna be fat the rest of their life, because for a lot of them, they've got to that point. For me, I think my point of no return is like 300 pounds. I always tell myself, if I make it to 300 pounds, I probably will never go back. So for me, whenever I get closer to that number, I don't want to hit that point of no return. I'm gonna get my weight back down. Because it's easier to lose weight if you're in the 200s, but if you're in the 300s or 400 or 500s, it's gonna take a lot of work to get back down to your regular weight. But so both the male and the female, they're both at the point of no return. I think they're both like over 350. They're both over 350. Yeah. They both went past the point of no return. But the male, my friend, he decided, you know what, I'm gonna try go back. I'm gonna go back down and lose some weight. So he wants to do it. He wants it, but he's still fat. I think he's doing it in the low 300s, but his wife is in the upper 300s. But he wants to communicate that to his wife. He doesn't know how to do that because they both went past the point of no return. But he had a change of heart. He decided, I don't want to be like this for the rest of my life. I want to go back to my lower level. His wife doesn't want to do it. He's like, look, I'm in the upper 300s. I'm not going back. Like it's done for me. That's her mindset. How does he navigate that? I'm just interested because this is a conversation I had with my friend, and it's tough for him to have the conversation. And it's like stop talking to me about this. I'm past it. We both went past the point of return. You want to have a change of heart, that's cool, but I'm not going. There's just too much work for me to go get back down to 200. And they both plus 100. They both talking. I'm done. I'm done with this. So what are your thoughts about that? I'll pass it to you, Siaosi.
Yeah, and I think that's the part of what I talked about earlier. That you can't help anybody that's unwilling to help themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Because you talk about the husband. The husband has touched something or seen something for himself that he can then tap into.
Yeah.
Right. This is not a make wrong conversation. It's like breakthroughs. People will have the breakthroughs of life whenever. It could be the age of 25, could be the age of 40, could be 50, could be 60.
Yeah.
Right. And her breakthrough may come or may never come. It may come, 10 years from now. But the part that we need to be okay with is that we should be okay with where she's at. If we've had all the conversation, because what I'm hearing is the conversation about the impact that has on both of their relationship, and if they have kids in the family and the people that they love, there's an impact on those that they leave behind, because now people have to move themselves around and make sure that it works for her. We have to have her see that the impact on that and the impact on every individual. It used to take herself and her husband to make things happen. Now it's taking 3 to 4 more people. And if she doesn't get the impact of that, then she's selfish in a way, right? But then again, we go back to there's absolutely nothing wrong with who she is. Allow her to do what she needs to do for herself. And he keeps doing what he's doing because in hope that will spark something for herself. But this is all about, it's about her. It's not about what he's doing. It's about her and what she needs to figure out. Maybe she needs to have more conversation about what she's dealing with, because beyond I'm done is a bigger conversation to be had. Beyond fat is a bigger conversation to be had about what she's truly thinking about and what's really running through her head, right? Yeah. As we sit around and pointing our fingers, you're a piece of whatever that you are. We're not understanding what's the process that she's going through her mind. So we have to dig a little deeper, have more deeper, meaningful conversation with her, allow her to unveil to us what is there for her. Then we can support her. But we have to dig in. Somebody has to sit down and dig in to see where she's at and meet her where she's at, not where the husband is at.
Okay.
And that maybe that conversation needs to be had.
All right, no worries. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Siaosi. What are your thoughts about Fissa on that dynamic?
Lead by example. Like Siaosi was saying, you have to lead by example. And this is where we need to acknowledge it. Oftentimes when our lives as men is often a lonely path, is that sometimes we have to initiate things and it gets lonely because we're the only one doing that throughout a certain period of time. One of the things too is that she's probably lacking intimacy. As you let go of yourself in terms of the weight, not a lot of intimacy is there. So there's a feeling of, we've lost so much of the intimacy that we used to have. I no longer feel worthy of it, so why should I put in the extra work to gain that back? And for your friend, Siaosi mentioned this, your frustration comes from expecting her to move at your time. You're both two different people. You have different timing, and the way that you move in life dictates that for each of you. Lead by example, and not only that, stand there each and every day. This is a relationship. This is not just a friendship you just picked up that you can give up on. Each and every day, show up and go, hey, I love you too damn much to just leave you on your own. Whenever you're ready, I'll be here. I'll keep doing the work. But when you're ready, you let me know. And I don't care if you get frustrated. I don't care if you get mad or get angry. I am here. We're a team. And I'll keep showing up for the both of us until you decide you're ready for us to take this journey. But you have to lead by example. And to make her feel as if she's on the same journey before she starts to make the first step. Kids bring that dynamic too, is that once once people start seeing the other person having more interaction with their kids, it flicks a switch. Shit, I'm not interacting with my kids like my other half. Maybe I should do something about it. But again, it goes back to lead by example. Get away from your frustration. She moves at her own time, or he moves at his own time. But do the work. And at the end of the day, you're doing the work for both of you, and make her feel as if she's part of that journey until she actually takes that first step. It's going to be hard. No one said relationships are going to be easy, and these are one of the dynamics where it truly gets you as a man, is that I am the only one doing the work. No, you are doing work that needs to be done by both of you. You're just taking the first step.
Okay. All right.
Wow. I think that's a deep conversation to be had, right? It goes back to being accountable. Like
Yeah.
I get to do the work and you get to do the work, right? And I just wonder how many of us truly are having this type of conversation. Because when you take a look at, I don't want to just generalize it, right? But yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to generalize. But in my family, there's so many overweight kids in my family. And so I'll talk about my family so that I'm not calling everybody out. But in my family, there's definitely a lot of couples that are overweight. But imagine that type of conversation the professor was talking about having. I'm doing the work that we should be doing, and I want to carry us until you're willing to help carry both of us. That's a whole different way of being, right? That's a whole different way of looking at life. I'm responsible for you. Like you're the one that I love. I'm responsible for you. So I'm going to keep doing the work, and I'm going to be patient and wait for you until you're ready, that you can then go through a journey with me. And that just sounds like a conversation that would sound like this. I got you, babe. You keep working on you and what you're doing, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing, but know that I'm by your side. I'm not getting ahead of you. I'm not moving forward. I'm doing the work for both of us. So in other words, I'm going to stay here and wait for the opportunity. I'm going to work on myself and wait for the opportunity that you ask that I need help. And then I reach down and pull you up.
Yeah.
Now imagine that type of conversation that happens in every Polynesian's house, in every relationship. I hear that differently, Professor. It's the first time I've actually heard this conversation differently. I've had many conversations like this, but I never heard it this way. So thank you for recreating. That's beautiful.
Yeah, the conversation I had with my friend, I think he's in his low to high, like I think he just spent 290 or 280 or something like that. But I think he still loves his wife. I think he still loves his wife. Even though she doesn't want to participate in the journey to lose the weight. But I think he brought up something that me and him were discussing, but we weren't aware we were discussing it. But you brought up the important factor of intimacy, right? How important to be very intimate. And I think his biggest fear is he still loves his wife. Like he's losing weight, so now he has energy. He wants to be more physically intimate. Have sex with his woman. But I guess his biggest fear for him is if he's carrying that burden for him and he's losing his weight all the way to the point, with the target weight that he's trying to get to where he wants to be, and there's a long period of time where she doesn't want to lose the weight at all. For him physically, there's a big difference of how he sees his wife and being very attractive. Obviously he's very his wife is going to enjoy having sex with him because now he's in more physically better shape. But because she hasn't done the work, one of the things that we talked about is, man, like, I have more energy now. I do want to have sex more often now because I have lost the energy. I still love my wife, but I fear that if she just doesn't do it, like I know it's gonna affect the relationship physically because she's still big and it's not fun for me. But I'm doing it good to know that I gotta have sex with her, but she's gonna be fun for her. But like, what about me? But
Yeah.
I still love her, but she's not doing the work, and I will be patient. But he was just afraid that if this keeps going for years and years, and she just doesn't want to do it, even then what does he do now? What does he do now?
Here's what I'm hearing.
I can.
Yeah, go ahead, Professor.
Sorry, Siaosi. Let me
You're good.
quickly butt in. I can probably assure you 100% that woman feels unloved. She recognizes where she is. However, she does not want to put in the work because she feels unloved. So here's the thing, and the way that I have these conversations tonight is a reflection of how important it is for me that when I decide to be in a relationship, this is it, end all be all. The woman I choose that's it. There's no two ways about it. Has he ever considered whether his wife feels loved? And I share this in the Discord. A woman who feels unloved will disrespect the man that she is with. And a man who feels disrespected will be unloving to his wife. So I can guarantee you that as much as she's pushing back in the way that she is, along the line she has felt unloved. And the whole thing about sex and intimacy is that we get to appreciate where we are in life and how we look physically. These conversations still need to be had, but it's showing that I will be intimate to you because the choice that I made from day one is as important as it is today. I will wake up every morning and choose you, regardless of how you look. But it is important that we're healthy. So what I do here is that I'm doing all this work, and I'm afraid that I might lose attraction. I think somewhere along the line you've already lost the attraction. So find out from your wife whether she still feels loved. And maybe that's a different conversation. Are you loved? Do you feel that I have loved you the same when we first met till today? And if I'm not doing that, show me how to love you again. It's a beautiful thing to see a woman who truly feels loved. The way she moves, the way she initiates her own movement and her own timing. It's a beautiful thing to see. And I see it with my wife every day. And I put it down to, I love her with all that I can. And she replicates that by respecting me as the leader of our little dynamic. And that what I choose as a final decision, she goes, look, I may not understand it, but I respect it and I love you. So let's move. Let's find out where this path takes us. And if it's a wrong decision, I trust you enough to say, you made a wrong decision. I'm going to get us back on course. But have that conversation. Does she feel loved? I guarantee you 1,000% she doesn't. And that's probably where her pushback is.
That's a good one. Okay. All right. Thank you, Professor. Go ahead, Siaosi.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the important. As we dig deeper and deeper and deeper, right? There's so much more than love that's there. It could be just the intimate part, right? But it's a lot deeper than that. What has happened in her past? Where was her depression? Where did the depression start from? What was the cause of the depression? Right? It's a lot. It's a lot of work to really dig into somebody that's going through whatever they're going through for them to truly see what they all started, so they can unveil things for themselves. And that's why we can't help those that are unwilling to help, because if we're constantly pushing for somebody to transform, and we haven't gotten to where they're at in life and what has gone on in their past, you can't shake it. They're unshakable because you don't understand what the hell they're going through. Intimacy, that's a whole level within itself. It may not be intimacy. It may be something that's happened with their parents, maybe with their uncle, maybe with somebody else down the line, maybe somebody, like PTSD is real. There's a lot of things in between when she was a child to where she's at that has taken place to get her to where she's at, right? And yes, intimacy could be a part of it, but it's not the whole story. But I still believe in what Professor's talking about. ask if she's loved, and when was the last time she felt loved? Right? When was the last time she felt love, and why did she fall out of love? That's a big conversation. And I don't think most people are willing to sit down and be truthful with themselves. I don't think people are willing to sit down and be truthful with themselves and really dig deep and be okay with looking bad. Be okay with sharing what has taken place in their past. Be okay with every single part of it. That they'll find their own freedom as they're unveiling what's going on in their life and what has happened or taken place in their past. And that's the type of conversation that we Polynesians are unwilling to have. And that's why we end up where we end up in terms of being obese, because we're unwilling to let go of some part of our past that we then use food as comfort.
Okay. I had a question I want to ask you, fellas. And everybody in the live chat, thank you so much for being on the live chat. Rose, always appreciate you. She said, as long as he can still get it hard, that doesn't really matter. She said, as long as he can still get hard, doesn't matter. Yes, it does matter. It does matter. All right. I had a question for you fellas. I think somebody sent me this question, really good question. They sent it to me on Instagram. I know for a lot of ladies who watch this right now, ladies, if you know any ladies watching this right now, I would love to hear your female perspective on this. So click on that public link. This is a live show, so we'd love to have you guys jump on. But I want to ask you guys, fellas, when can a man have this conversation with this woman once she has had a child? And that's something one of the fellas asked. When, obviously he said that his woman has the children, but, he doesn't want to bring up too early. But he's in his mind, 3 months to 6 months is more than enough time for women to, after a pregnancy, to get rest, get the rest they needed, and then get back into their shape. But they always find it hard to bring up the conversation right after a pregnancy, because it's very sensitive for a lot of women, and if a lot of women, I just carried your child, why you bring up this conversation? I'm so selfish, you just won't care about you, about what you want. But it's a very, what are your thoughts on pregnancy? So your woman just had a child. When do we bring up what's the appropriate time to bring up the conversation? Of course, one week's too early, obviously. Obviously a week is too early. But for him, he said 3-6 months. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts for that? Do you think you should give him a whole year, maybe a whole year, and then bring up the conversation? I don't know. But it's there's something out there like I love my woman. She had my children, but after she has my child, I would appreciate if she just gets back and being healthy again, and not use the pregnancy as an excuse. Because let's be honest, ladies, there's a lot of women out there who would use the pregnancy as an excuse to gain weight and never go back to their healthy form. So, and everybody in the live chat, let me know what you think. Well, what's the appropriate time for a woman after a pregnancy to start losing weight and get back to being healthy? What are your thoughts, ladies, and men? Do you think it's a week, a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the live chat. Let me pass it back to the fella. Then I'll start with you, Siaosi. What do you think is the appropriate time to give her, if a woman just had a child, when do you go give her time to recover, and then you bring up the conversation and hey babe, let's get back on the program.
The person without courage would tell me, you let me know when you're ready. You tell me when you're ready, and I can help you. And the person with courage, the person that would have courage would say, as soon as when it's done and complete, a few weeks after, like, what would you like to do now? The conversation was, what would you like to do about you now, and have her make the choice. Have her make the choice for her, and we don't get to make the choice for her. Because the moment we get to push things on our women. They are resisting it, and with resistance becomes all of the things that we don't want in a relationship. So it's about having a woman having a real choice in her body in terms of when I want to get back to being in shape or not. That's it. But you got to have the courage. I didn't have the courage. You guys need to finally have that courage to say it sooner or later. What I did was prolong the process. And I hope you get that. I prolonged the process for a decade. And if you have the conversation a few weeks, a month or two after that child is born, the best way is to have it prior, way before you have children. What we're going to do, if we have babies, what are we going to do? Would it be okay with you if I check in with you and let's hold each other accountable that you go back to somewhat the way we were when we got married? And that'll be the easiest way, so that way we can keep each other accountable. But waiting until after it's done, good luck. Good luck. At the same time, have the courage to ask the woman what she wants to do in terms of her physical being. Would you like 6 months? Would you like a year? Would you like a year and a half? Give me a timeline so that I can hold both of us accountable. As Professor says, accountability.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
So
sir.
just ask her. So do Siaosi, just ask her when she's ready. Okay. All right. Thank you, Siaosi. I'll pass it to you, Professor. What's your thoughts on it, Professor? I'm having this conversation right after her pregnancy.
It's too late if you're thinking of having this conversation after the. And what this conversation is revealing to me is that people don't manage their expectation all throughout the relationship, in the sense that physical health is very important. Therefore, we need to put a routine together. Intimacy needs to be there, and all these other things that needs to be present. I'm pausing a bit too long here, but I want to give any man who's got a wife or who's got a girlfriend a word of advice. You give a woman an intimacy level that she hasn't received herself, I can guarantee you she will do everything in her power to receive that throughout the rest of your relationship. This is why love is very important to women, is that we love and we cater and we give them the level of intimacy that they need. Not that they want, but what they need. And I mentioned prior, I have made love to every inch of my wife's body, in the sense that when you do that, you bring her up to a position where she feels powerful to the degree that she is not going to let herself go, that she's no longer going to receive that level of intimacy. And it's not because I'm not giving it, it's because she knows her body isn't receiving it the way that she used to. Have those conversations even before the pregnancy. Hun, I understand that when we get pregnant and we have child, your weight's going to fluctuate. What do you think is going to help us get back on track? And not only that, these are practice. These are daily practice. To have these conversations after pregnancy, it means that it's not a daily practice. You can learn along the way, but as I mentioned, the whole accountability thing is, if your woman is truly the choice you've made consciously, you will practice all these things on a day-to-day basis. A pregnancy is not going to get in the way. What will get in the way is probably postpartum, which is what you have to deal with. Most men don't understand this, but some women go into major depression after a child. It's your job to stand there and be the pillar for her emotions. This is usually how women also get off track with their weight. If she no longer feels that you are there, and I have experienced this with my wife on her pregnancy, she will let herself go. And it keeps coming back to us as men, is that if we are not supporting her from the get-go, we're not managing our expectation, if we're not voicing that, look, we need to be healthy, we want to have children, we want to make love to each other in ways that we can physically. As we age and as the year progresses, the weight's going to add complication to that. So I think it's too late if you're waiting after the pregnancy. Make it a daily habit. Discuss healthy lifestyles. Discuss the things that are going to happen during pregnancy. What's going to happen after pregnancy. And by mitigating that is by having these as a daily practice, And I keep going back to accountability and intimacy. If your woman does not feel intimate with you and that she is not loved to the degree that no one has ever in her life, these things will no longer be important to her, and she'll let herself go. You give a woman a level of intimacy she hasn't received from anyone else, you'll be surprised at what she can do. I can guarantee you that. Women are powerful in their own rights, and all they need is intimacy. It sounds easier said, but this is where we fellas have got to come to the table.
All right, no worries. Yeah, thank you so much, Palafes. I think Logic, I think he said on the live chat, he said, I would have a conversation with her prior to the pregnancy regarding her shape. If she has postpartum, however, I wouldn't push the issue until after we deal with her depression. Yeah, it's just, I think it still comes back to managing the expectations and everything and having it before, and not waiting until the pregnancy to have that conversation. So, but thank you for sharing. Siaosi, anything you want to add on real quick to that, or are you good?
I'm good. It's such a it's such a delicate. I have it. It's very delicate when you're talking about a women's dealing with themselves after having children, because their body functions all over the place. They have no control what's really going on.
Yeah.
What's going on inside. So it's very delicate. And I think when Professor is talking about having that conversation way prior, way in the beginning, before any of these things happen, it's a must. There's some women that can just, I've seen a few people that can get on it, have babies, and get back right on it, because they're on about themselves. They love themselves enough to get back, jump on it. Some people just takes a little bit longer. So having that conversation way earlier, like I said, it's delicate.
Okay.
So.
No worries. Thank you so much, Siaosi and Palafesa. I had another question. Had a person reach out to me on Twitter. What are your thoughts on the in order to have this conversation? I think you brought it up, Palafesa and Siaosi. We have to be leaders and lead by example. So if you're gonna ask your wife to lose weight and take care of her health, then naturally, as a leader, you have to practice it, right? You have to be a reflection of what you preach. So you should be the one to, put in the effort to go to the gym, take care of yourself first, and lead her into that lifestyle. So, what are your thoughts on the guys? I don't work out, but I provide for my woman, I protect my woman, I take care of her, I pay the bills, I do all that stuff. I have a 12-hour shift, a working day. Do I have to really work out to tell my woman, even though if I'm living a good lifestyle and I'm doing my duties as a man, and I just want her to lose some weight and not be fat? Do I have to go to the gym and have this go out there and groceries and buy all this healthy food? Maybe he can do that, but I'm saying, does a man really have to go to the gym to ask his wife to go to the gym if the man is fulfilling all his responsibilities as a man, to be the provider, protector, as a father? I'm interested. I want to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on that? Is it possible if I'm doing all my duties as a man? And I work, I have a 12-hour shift. I work every single day. I just want to go to work, come home. My wife stays at home. She takes care of my kids. I love my wife. But I'm just asking, hey, babe, can you just, find some time throughout your day just to go to the gym and lose some weight? But what are your thoughts on that was a question from one of the guys on Twitter. He said, look, I work a 12-hour shift. I work construction. I'm tired as hell. I just want to go to work and come home. I'm not going to the gym. But my wife, she stays at home. She stays at home and she's let herself go a little bit.
Yeah.
But she is a little fat. I just want her to lose some weight. But I don't want to go to the gym. But
yeah, you don't have to do anything.
I want to ask her to go to the gym. What are your thoughts on those guys? What are your thoughts on that from that perspective?
Yeah, he doesn't have to do absolutely nothing. Nobody has to do absolutely nothing. Nobody has to be responsible. You can just keep doing what you're doing, and your wife can keep doing what she's doing. Simple.
No, he does, but he wants his wife to go to the gym. That's his.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is where we go back to, like, nobody's willing to generate for each other. Nobody's willing to generate for each other. It's like the relationship and the partnership allows you the opportunity to create and recreate yourself and recreate your significant other such that they're touch, move, inspired.
Yeah.
But if you're doing absolutely nothing, if you have it that you've done everything, you better think again. And if you get what you ask for. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, right? But it is your supportive way of being that shows up as, yeah, I'm going to look at that because that might be beneficial for me. It's all about taking a look at what's benefit you both. Simply just because you don't have time to go to the gym doesn't mean that you don't have to do that. Like, you take a look. Take a look at the hell of what's going on in your relationship that has her be the way she is and has you be the way you are and have your relationship the way it is. Like,
Yeah.
Can you imagine that he takes full responsibility for what goes on in his relationship? He's got to take a look at what's missing. What's missing is that he may be the one that's just goes to work and does exactly what he does, and that he could be the missing. He could be the missing component of the relationship, and that's maybe the reason why she is the way she is. He has to take a look, and he doesn't have to do absolutely nothing. 100%. You don't have to do nothing. Sit there and enjoy what you have. Do you want something different? Go and do something different. Right?
Yeah.
The way that I look at it, his probable almost certain future is like the probable almost certain future is something that's going to happen regardless. It's just how life is going to end up being. And his probable almost certain future, if he keeps doing exactly what he's doing with his wife, he goes to work and he works his hours and he comes back. In the next 6 months or next year to next 6 years, what he's going to have is he's going to have. His wife is going to be overweight. He's not going to do anything else. If he wants that to transform, he wants that to change, he's going to have to do the different kind of action that would allow the wife to see something differently for herself and allow him to grow. Because at this moment, I have it that he's stuck in where he's at. And when if you have it that you're stuck, you're no longer growing.
Yeah.
I have it, he's stuck. And he's unwilling to transform his way of being. He just wants to be okay with where he's at. So guess who gets to suffer? The family gets to suffer. He gets to suffer because they're all stuck in where they're at. Because there's nobody that's willing to generate something completely newly for the whole entire family.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess pretty much what he was saying is like he works construction, so like he's not fat. Like he's in decent shape because he's always outside. He doesn't need to go to the gym. But his wife, she's a stay-at-home wife. She's a little bit overweight. She's a little fat. So in his mind, it's like, I don't need to go to the gym. I'm outside every single day. I work. I'm in good. I'm in pretty good shape.
I got that. It's not about being in good shape.
Yeah.
What I think you guys didn't hear is that he could be the missing ingredient in the relationship that has the wife be the way that she is. Yeah, he's working. He's definitely doing the work. But what is missing in their relationship that has to sit at home and gain the weight? He has to take a look. He has to ask himself, what am I not doing that has my wife be the way that she is? Because he's the creator of his circumstance. He's the creator of the whole family dynamic. He's the creator. And if he doesn't see that there's power in he's the creator, he can have things sit the way it is, or he can transform it simply by doing something newly in the relationship that would have the wife be moved in the way that she's inspired in the way that she is touched, moved, and inspired, that she gets to become completely different in the new way of being. So what is he doing? Is the question for him. What are you doing that have your relationship stay stuck in the way that it is?
Okay, no worries. Thank you, Siaosi. Pass it to Professor. What are your thoughts on that dynamic?
It's not important enough for him.
Yeah.
He's making excuses, and what it sounds like to me is that it is not important enough to him that he is making excuses as to why he should not lead first. Here's one of the things that I've learned with my wife. I don't expect my wife to understand me as a protective provider. She sees the benefit of it. She sees the money coming in. She sees the lifestyle that we live. But she will never understand the degree of how much I work. It sounds like that he's expecting her to understand, just because I go out and work, you should replicate that by doing XYZ. I don't expect to understand my wife entirely, her being a stay-at-home mother. But if this is an important conversation that needs to be had, then he will do the work. It's pure and simple as that. And if he's making excuses and if anyone's making excuses as to, oh, but I do extra and blah, blah, I'm in great shape, that's still an excuse to me. It is still not important enough for you to make that journey or make that first step in order to show your wife that this is something that is important for the both of you. I keep going back. A lot of people get into a relationship and think, me, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. What are you doing? Rather than, this is what we're doing. These are the areas where we're failing. These are the areas where we're succeeding. Can we do something about the failure? And can we do something about it as a team? So if you're watching, you're just making excuses. You may be in great shape, but you're not showing something. You're not showing anything to your wife that she can actually see and witness and quantify it. Do the work. Lead by example. Even if you're in great shape, going to the gym and jumping on the treadmaster or on the treadmills. But you need to, and like Siaosi said, you are the missing link because you're meant to be the leader. What kind of leader would send his troops to battle and sit back in the safety of his own tent and expect everyone else to fall in line? Lead by example.
Yeah, there's a term for that. I think we uncovered that last week. It was called leadership.
Oh man, that's a good one.
That was not to discredit that man. That was just it just came out of my mouth. That's the unfiltered me. I'm sorry.
No, there's definitely a lot of leaderships out there. I see Mala. Oh, I see you, Malina, in the live chat. Malina said, it's not always about diet. It's about your hormones as well. Ladies have more organs that produce more hormones. No worries. And I think you said something, Marlena. She said some people are still healthy even if they are fat. I don't know about that, Marlena. I think if you're fat, you're pretty unhealthy.
That is, here's the crazy part. The crazy part is that we here in America, Howard, they have done wonderful in making sure that the corporation can actually make money out of fat people. We have marketed that fat people are now healthy, such that people are now calling fat being healthy.
I know.
No.
Yeah.
Take a look. I mean, when you're overweight, what's really happening around your lungs? What's happening around your heart? Is your heart still working or is it overworking? Yeah. Like, let's not be blind to the facts. I mean, once again, the corporation has done such an awesome job selling you about how beautiful being fat is.
Yeah.
How beautiful it is. And it is beautiful by any means in terms of your perfect imperfection. 100%. Yeah. But you really have to be truthful to yourself when you say, am I walking around being overweight? Is that really healthy for me? You have to be truthful to yourself. Don't be listening to other people. You have to make that choice for yourself. And if you have it that you're walking around being overweight and that you're healthy, take another look. Yeah. Really take another look. Go take a lap around the building, see what that feels like. What really is doing to your heart and what it's doing to your lungs. Take another look. Don't fall into what people say and what the advertisement are teaching you. You're going to have to make some great mind. You got to start thinking differently other than what you're being taught. Because I have is BS. It's BS.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm done with that.
No. Go ahead, Zaz. Finish your point, Zaz. Go ahead.
I have no point, but I have a lot of family that are obese, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're comfortable being obese, and it's okay for them to laugh about where they're at. I'm okay with that. As long as they're okay with that, but yet as long as they don't teach their kids that it's okay to be obese, right? But when we start walking, we're saying that being overweight is healthy. There's a problem there.
Yeah.
There's truly a problem. You can't walk around saying being overweight is healthy. Tell me how, right? Unless you're somebody that's constantly working out, building muscle underneath the fat, and the fat is pushing out, right? At least you have some type of muscle structure that allows you to do things, right? And you're doing some kind of work. But somebody that's walking around just being obese or just being fat, that's something to think about. Stop lying to yourself.
No, that's exactly what I was about to say. I was like, if you're okay with being fat or you're happy with being fat, I mean that's fine, but that doesn't take away that you're still unhealthy. You can be comfortable you can be comfortable being fat and overweight and be happy in your body and be overweight, but this still doesn't change the fact that you're still unhealthy.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people confuse happiness with being healthy. No, maybe you're mentally healthy because that's how you feel, or emotionally healthy, that's how you feel, but physically you're not healthy within your body.
we're talking about diabetic that's borderline. I mean, we're talking about some issues. Don't lie to yourself. And I think that's my message for people is stop lying to yourself about where you're at in your life, in your physical being. Like, take action to be different. Don't walk around pretending that it's not there. Like, why pretend? Why feed yourself with your own bullshit that you die because you're overweight? Like, why? Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you rob yourself out of having the experience of being a human in its greatest moment, in its greatest form? Why would you rob yourself out of that?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, the add-on to that is
You want to add something about
oftentimes
this?
Yeah, that a lot of people have this misconception that when we have these conversations around overweight and being fat, they slingshot themselves to the opposite direction and go, well, is skinny healthy? We all know what healthy is. Healthy is when you're able to get up from in the morning and not feel your joint creaks because the overbearing of the weight has gotten too much, or that, like Siaosi mentioned, you walk up stairs and you feel as if you're about to pass out. We know what healthy looks like, and we also know what healthy feels like. So if we're sitting here and having this debate about, skinny people have have more issues, and then there's fat people that are healthy, have a conversation with those people in terms of how they interact with the world. I can guarantee you someone who's slightly smaller in terms of their weight have a whole heap of mobility that they can enjoy. Not only that, physically, the feeling that comes with a healthy lifestyle is quite different. The way that your hormones react, the way that your hormones regulate it within your body. So, and I go back to what you gents were saying, we have diluted ourselves in terms of how we look at the world and how we keep ourselves accountable, in the sense that now being overweight and being fat is called upon as beautiful. You can feel all the way you like about yourself and you can be truly confident, but you cannot deny the fact that when you get off the bed, the weight is overbearing and you have a physical measure of just how harder it is to be a human being. I look at my children and I go, I don't want them to bury me. That's the reality of when we let ourselves go. I don't want my children to bury me. I have so many families who've, pardon me, I've had so many family members who've gone that direction. And it's easy in the sense of making it a daily habit to just be mindful of what you feed yourself, or what exercise you do, or what lifestyle that you have. We have the resources, so why not?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So more of the story, if you're fat, it means you're unhealthy. All right? Everybody out there. All right. I see Joe with the big super chat. Shout out to you, Joe, man. Joe, thank you so much.
That's all you got, $4.99? I swear to God, How would you? First of all, you're supposed to be in this podcast, and you showed up late with $4.99. Really?
No, I think Joe. I think he said
$49.99.
Joe said it. I know. I think he's in the ER. He's still in the ER, but keeping an eye out. Joe, thank you so much, man, for the super chat donation and watching. I know you have some issues with your daughter, but yeah, hopefully she gets better. But thank you so much for being on tonight's live chat. And
$49.99. Imagine
still
that.
supporting. It's still supporting.
If you're watching and listening and you're enjoying it, me calling down your crap, you got to do more than. Like, what did Rose do last week? 100? I challenge you, Mr. JP.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joe. Hey, fellas, I got a good question from somebody. I want to ask you guys this. This is a good one. I want to hear your thoughts on this. Let me see. All right. So he said that he I guess his relationship, I just paraphrase it, his relationship with his wife, he realized that he realized his wife is overweight. He decided to make the changes in the relationship, to be the leader, be the example. Of course, he's pretty much kind of taking that step. But I guess his problem is he doesn't enjoy the sex with his wife, right? So he's not forcing his wife to lose weight. He's trying to lead her. Like he's taking that effort to lead as a man. But then he said that he doesn't enjoy it. He doesn't enjoy the sex with his wife. But hopefully through this journey, they can make it happen. Is there a way to communicate that with his wife in a very brutal, honest way? Like, look, I know, we're on this journey together, but I'm gonna be honest, of course, I've decided to take that leader. Whenever you want to take that step, and honey, whenever you want to take that step and be part of this journey, that's fine. But I'm gonna put that burden on me and be the example for you. But at the same time, he's like, I'm gonna be honest, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy it with her. So how do I communicate that? And to try to hold back from that truth and not tell her that, or just continue having sex and not enjoying it as a man. But how do I communicate that with her and be honest?
I think it's not about how he communicates it, right? It's he has to take a look at himself, and he's the one that's generating that. It's his way of being around having sex with his wife that makes him feel that. It has nothing to do with his wife. It's where he's at. He can't use his wife as this. You can't blame your wife for the way that you are. Imagine that. Imagine being fully responsible for who you are in a relationship. Just being fully responsible for yourself in the terms that I don't love my wife, or I don't care about my wife, so I'm going to make her the fault. Where is the responsibility then? Does he feel like he's responsible, or his wife is responsible? I have it that it's not his wife. His wife is not responsible for that. That's his creation. His creation in the way that he looks at it, that he's no longer enjoying. He enjoys it being with his wife. That's his, not his wife's. Because if we have it that we're men, that we get to lead with the way that we are, we lead by example. We go back to example. And you don't have to enjoy what you do. But when you're being at service to others, you'll show up differently. Because he has to wake up every morning and recreate himself. Who the hell is he is for his wife or his loved one? And this is something that I had to learn. I had to wake up every morning and recreate myself and recreate the woman that I'm with. Recreate that they're brand new in a sense, that I've never dated her again. I have never dated her as if I'm dating her for the first time. And it's a practice because I have it in the way that he asked this question. He's on his way out. He's already said I'm out because I'm not enjoying that. So the question may not be what you just asked, but the question for him is, who the hell am I for my wife? And what can I generate newly for myself that my wife appears differently in my thought, in the way that I go to work? And having it work that, like Professor said, I made love to every piece of my wife's body. That's a creation. That's not waking up with my thoughts of yesterday and who you are yesterday, right? That's a thought of who are you today and who can I manifest me at this moment to love you that special.
Yeah.
That's a whole different kind of creation. That's a whole new level of being. Wow.
Okay.
What
All
a
right.
beautiful conversation.
Yeah, well, I wish this guy he's communicating to me through Instagram, but I think he's watching, but I wish he can come on, but he doesn't want to come on. But I guess also he's telling me right now is he loves his wife. He's not leaving his wife, but he's honest with himself that he doesn't find his wife as physically attractive because she doesn't want to take that challenge. He decided to take that challenge, and he's not forcing her, hey, you need to lose weight. But for him, he feels like that if he's not being honest with her, that it's kind of affecting him.
Yeah.
If he can't tell her that, hey, I'm sorry, it's not, it doesn't get me excited to you. So I mean, should he not communicate that at all to her? Or just take that as a loss. You know what? I'm gonna take that and continue having sex with her, even though he doesn't enjoy it. As a
have
man.
a conversation, man.
Yeah, okay.
That could easily be solved simply by having a conversation. And this is where men screw up, is because we're unwilling to have a conversation about things that matters to us. If it truly matters to him, then you have a conversation and say what's there for him.
Okay.
But if we keep lying to ourselves and keep pretending that doesn't exist, then that's where we go the opposite direction. And I say that simply from my own experience. When I was unwilling to say what's there for me is when I went the other side. Right? So what I'm requesting of him is, if it's truly important for him about having an awesome relationship with his wife, have that conversation. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but have that conversation.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Siaosi. Well, I'll repass it to you, Professor. What do you think? Do you think like you heard the example of that dynamic, but do you think it's not, if a man, you don't feel like you enjoy the sex with your wife physically, should he tell his wife directly, or should maybe not tell her at all? What are your thoughts on that, Professor?
Have the damn conversation. Right? Have it, because it's obviously you love this woman and you've decided to be with her. She's your wife. She should be important enough for you to have that conversation. And not only that, and this is one of the things that I keep, and this is a reflection of how I see commitment, is that when I commit, that's for life. But make it a daily habit to be flirtatious with your wife. Really embracing her body for whatever it is, whether it's like graze of her breast or slap her ass when she walks by. If you want to keep your attraction, you have to keep whatever that little love bug that you caught from day one. It's not the sex that has made you think that she's unattractive. It's that you did not practice what made you attracted to her in the first place. We all know this as young lovers or new lovers. We do certain things. We cannot wait to get our hands on the other person. If you practice that daily, up until you're 6 feet under, that level of attraction will always stay there. And this keeps going back. Does your wife feel that she has the level of intimacy that you're currently giving her? She cannot match it anywhere. So it's a more deeper conversation that he needs to have with himself. Where have I stopped loving this woman and giving her intimacy that she's just not feeling it in that sense? And what do you need her to do? 5-star jump before she jumps on you? I can get the physical part, yes, but this is the thing. Intimacy. If you're not giving it to her, she's never going to feel as it's important enough for her to receive it. So this goes back to the similar conversation with the guy about not wanting to go to the gym. What is it you're doing that this woman does not feel the level of love that she requires in order for her to give you the respect, which means she's going to follow your leadership. I keep saying this and it seems like it goes over certain people's head. Men are regulators, women are equalizers. If you're not regulating accountability, she is not going to equalize it. So it comes back on you. You not being attracted to her is a you problem that you have manifested throughout that relationship. Put in some work. Have a conversation with your wife. Look, our sex is getting a little bit bland. Would you like your toes sucked? Would you like me to kiss you behind your knees? No, would you like me to pull your hair? The way that we have sex is a dance in a relationship. Make it a dance, not a whatever it is that he's having. Either make love to your wife or fuck her, whichever one. But it's a duality thing.
All right.
Yeah, you lost me the moment you say sucking your toe. You had me all
I
the
said
way
every
there
inch,
until
didn't I?
you said that, but
I said every inch, didn't I?
You triggered something within Siaosi when you said that.
no chicken. Yeah. More like trick or treat.
Little fetish. Yeah. No worries. Hey man, that was powerful stuff. But not as powerful as Joe dropping that $100 super chat. All right, he stepped up to the challenge. Siaosi. He said 100. Bet.
I'll send you some ramen, Joe.
Send me some Simon.
Hey Joe, please make sure your family is at the ER is taken care of first. Don't go. Take care of them first at the ER. Man. But nevertheless, thank you so much for $100 super chat, man. Shout out to you, Joe, man. Thank you so much for appreciate the support on the live chat and the donation. I see Milagros on the live chat say you gotta give it to her. Oh yeah, you definitely gotta give it to her. And Joe, I love it. Joe said pocket change. That's what I'm talking about, Joe.
Yeah, I want to send you my Venmo too.
That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about, Joe.
Change.
Pocket change. All right. I see Lissy. Hey, good to see you, Lissy, in the live chat. With the she feeling what Balafesta is saying on tonight's podcast.
All about that toe.
But nevertheless, hey, we're getting to the end. I want to ask you, fellas. Obviously we're talking about wives on this podcast, but this is my last question on this. If a man, I guess, say if you're not married to your wife, I mean, for me personally, once you're married, you're in a relationship, you're in it, But if you're not married to your woman, you're still in the relationship. And Balafesta, you said that if the woman doesn't respect you, right? If the woman doesn't respect you, if the woman is not going to listen to what you say, is when you have this conversation, if she doesn't respect you. Do you think for a lot of men, if they have this conversation and the woman doesn't respect it, and they realize, oh, this woman has no respect to what I'm saying, do you think is it better off for them just to move on to another woman and maybe work on the things they failed in that relationship and try it better, or continue on with dealing with the woman that's clearly has shown that has no respect for your voice and as a man when you have this conversation? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And I'm not talking about married couples, I'm just talking about men who are dating today in today's modern dating world, and they're in a relationship with the woman, with the girlfriend, and they had this conversation, and the way their girlfriend responded clearly was like very hostile and like kind of emasculated him a little bit for even bringing up this conversation, and he can clearly tell that she has no respect for me as the masculine leader. Do you think she should continue with that woman, or maybe move on, learn from what you failed as a leader in that relationship, and just start brand new with a new girl, and manage your expectations early in the beginning, have those consistent relationships, love her body, appreciate body, make love to every inch of her body, and pretty much do everything that we just said right now on this podcast with the next girl, But if the woman clearly disrespects you when you bring her this conversation, and you can clearly see she doesn't respect your leadership, do you think there's no point in even trying with her and just move on? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts for the young guys right now who are just dating today? What are your thoughts on that, Professor?
I think this answer is more personal to whoever's going through a situation like that.
Yeah.
One way to get any woman to respect you is have a sense of direction.
Okay.
It's very simple. If you do not have a sense of direction, no woman is ever going to give you the respect that you want. If you don't know where you're going, how do you expect the woman that you're with dating to want to follow you?
Yeah.
Right. So this is going to be a very personal choice for whoever is going through that situation. And the reason for that is there are situations where the woman is disrespectful to the point where it's unsalvageable.
Yeah.
And then there are situations where women have stepped up in their relationship, however, still giving that reservation for their man to step into that role.
Yeah.
So there's very different dynamics in these ones. As soon as you feel unsafe as a man, you should leave. But you should not leave in the sense of, I'm going to do better in the next relationship. If you haven't figured that out in that relationship, what makes you think you're going to figure it out in the next one? You've got a whole new woman to deal with, first and foremost, who has very different expectation. She reacts differently to certain things. So regardless of, and women aren't linear as we men, in the sense that any woman that gets with a man, she knows how to please him. But a man that gets with multiple women have different strategies and different ways of pleasing that woman, or specific women. So, and this is one of the conversations that me and my wife used to have, was that she used to question, oh, but, you know, do you think you'll ever leave me for someone else, someone who's smarter, all these things? And I said, what makes me think, and this is a conversation that I have internally, what makes me think that if I break this relationship up, anything is going to work outside of this? That is me being delusional to the point that I'm not putting myself accountable for the things that I do. I cannot sit here and talk about all these great qualities and yet not display it and not practice it on a daily basis. I cannot expect myself to make it work with someone else if I don't even make it work here and now. So it's very personal. And I think one of the biggest thing that you as a man should indicate is, do you still feel safe? Has this relationship gone to the point where you no longer feel safe? Or have you had this conversation and the woman that you're with has given you that level of, look, you might not be there yet. However, I'll toe the line. Get yourself where you need to be. Because these are real situations. These are dynamics that are happening.
Yeah.
So if you understand that from a level of accountability, step your shit up. Really. Be accountable for the decision that you've made to be with this woman, whoever she is. And if you're accountable for that decision, you will put in the work. And this is essentially my personal life with my wife, is that each and every day I choose you and I'm accountable for that decision. Therefore, I will make it work. I will put in the work. There is no looking out where the grass may be green. It's right here, right now. I will put in the work.
All right, Professor. Yeah, man. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And same thing, Siaosi, what do you think? For a lot of young guys out there, try to have the conversation with this woman, girlfriend. She clearly disrespected him. Should he could try to salvage, continue to work with that girl, or just maybe move on to another girl, learn from what he failed on that one, and then start out and apply on the next relationship? What do you think?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like, if you're looking for opportunity you will find. If you're looking for mediocrity is what you'll find. You're looking for trash is what you're going to find. Now, if you're looking for possibility, anything and everything is possible. So in other words, you're going to have to seek for yourself and what you truly want out of a relationship. And if you can find a possibility and opportunity in a woman, and so when I say that, if you can find that whatever it is that you're dealing with her, because you're not dealing with her, you're dealing with yourself. If you see what you're dealing with as an opportunity for you to grow, growth you will find, possibility you will discover. So it's a matter of how do you perceive what's going on in that relationship. I have it that everything the things that trigger us is the thing that we should stay and actually take on in life, really take on in life. Because as we take on with life, what we trigger here at this moment, we no longer then get to be the same. We get to transform our way of being, and we get to be different in the way that we react to certain things. And that's where possibility comes to life. And you have a say on how that happens if you find opportunity in all that you're dealing with. So deal with it. Deal with it in any way, shape, or form, right? Just deal with it.
Yeah.
Deal with it and stand there and really don't look at the problem that the problem is over there on the other side, but look at how am I responding to myself? How am I being about what I'm confronted with? And go to work on yourself. This is where you get to go to work on yourself. That's where you find your power. Your power literally is in your ability to sit and work things out for yourself in your mind about why am I responding this way? How can I respond differently? Why do I get all jacked up in my mind? Why am I so angry? And you get to work on yourself. That's the opportunity. Imagine that you spend a time with a woman that you get to discover yourself newly every day because you're constantly working and dealing with yourself as you're confronted with what's in front of you. That's one powerful individual. Like I said, if you're looking for trash, you'll find trash. But if you're looking for opportunity, it doesn't matter where the trash is at, doesn't matter. Because the opportunity you finding trash is humongous. What you can learn out of trash is humongous. You can walk away, go to the ghetto and learn so much from the ghetto that you can walk away being completely different. You don't always have to live in the ghetto. But what you can take from the ghetto, it's something powerful.
All right, no worries, Siaosi. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you look for trash, you find trash and deal with your trash. All right, fellas. All right, no worries. Thank you so much, everybody out there. Thank you so much, Siaosi, for that powerful gem right there. See MZ Carol on the live chat said goals, guidance, plans, and vision. My husband said, "Hey, thank you so much." Yeah, that's powerful stuff right there. I see Z007. Good to see you back on the live chat. Said, if a woman disrespects you, men, don't be afraid to walk away. Yeah, exactly. We got to pick your battles, know your strengths and weaknesses, and know when to move on.
But I think that goes against what I just said, right? When there's disrespect, that's when you get to figure out. You got to go work on yourself and figure out why you're being disrespected, right? Mm-hmm. It's not as simple just because somebody says I disrespect you that you have to walk away. The power is in you figuring that shit out. Yeah. If you decide that you're going to walk, you're going to bring that BS to the next relationship. Because you're not changing, you're not transforming. You're bringing that relationship from this relationship to the next relationship, and you're going to pull all the next relationship together, and you're going to take it to the next relationship. If you go through 10 relationships, you're going to take every relationship, everything that you dealt with to the last person. And that's why you shouldn't walk away. What's possible in confronting yourself with somebody disrespecting you, it's where the power is at. Like weak people walk away. Powerful people stay and deal with it so that they can have a sense of understanding of what they're going through. Because it's not over there, it's over here. The disrespect is here. What did I say? What have I done to have somebody disrespect me? It's self. When you can understand self and how you deal with yourself, powerful. That's where the power is at. Not walking away.
I don't think issue. I don't think you don't have to walk away, but I think the key is don't be afraid if you have to. I think that's the most important thing for as a man. A lot of guys, they're afraid to they don't even think it. They don't even think that option because they'll just stay in a predicament that hurts them.
Isn't
And
that crazy about men? I think that's one thing. That's one thing about men is that we're committed. When we're committed, we're committed. The girl can do anything and everything, and we'll stand. And we'll stand there and take the abuse, and because we have it that we're men, and we'll pound on our chest that everything is fine and pretend like everything's fine. But I think what you just said is much, much more powerful. Understand when you need to walk away. Right? Much more powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. Professor, you want to add on real quick? You want to add on?
Yeah, I wanted to add on that disrespect part is that there's only two possibility in my own understanding, and this is how I see life. If you're a man and your woman has disrespected you to the degree that you feel disrespected, there are two things. You either have picked the wrong woman to be with, or you haven't done the work. Either way, it still comes back on you. So when men feel stuck in a relationship, you feel stuck because you have no direction and that you're swaying with the wind. Whatever comes and goes, you're more easier to influence in that sense. If you put a goal, even if the goal is to get to tomorrow, that's your direction. Wake up, get to tomorrow. Get through this day and get to tomorrow. That's my goal. You start prioritizing that, I'll tell you what, that your life will move in very different ways. And women pick the shit up like it's bees to flowers. A man that moves with some level of direction will always get the respect of any woman that he comes across, even if it's to get to tomorrow. Damn, didn't do well today. All right, my goal is to get to tomorrow or get to next week. All of these things. So when we have these conversations about a woman disrespecting a man, it always comes back to accountability for me, is that you either picked wrong or you are not doing the work. Regardless, it's still on you.
Still on you. Facts. All right, thank you so much, Paulo Fessa. Yeah, I love that, man. If the woman disrespects you as a man, it's either you picked the wrong woman or you did not put in the work. Oh man, wrote that down. Powerful stuff right there. Thank you so much. Accountability is on you. But yeah, we have come to the end of the podcast. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, everybody in the live chat. I see a couple comments real quick. I'm gonna read it out real quick. I see Z007. I don't fear walking away because there's always a backup waiting to start. All right, that's good. It's good to have options, fellas. It's good to have the options out there. And of course, I think Rose said something. There we go. MZ Carroll said the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Facts. It's always greener where you water it. That's powerful stuff right there. And Rose said on the live chat, said if he can walk away, he was never meant to be there. That's okay. Sometimes women say stuff like that to pull you back in. Fellas, don't fall for that. It's okay.
Don't fall for that.
Don't fall for that shit.
Rose, you're one person that I've never expected to write such things like that.
That's a Disney stuff.
No, full crate. No, I'm just kidding. Move on.
Oh, but of course.
You know what,
go ahead, Professor.
Can I add something? Sometimes when I hear these comments, not only that, I hear these conversations of, well, if it doesn't work, there's always going to be a backup, as if relationships are just a flick your finger and it works. If that's how you see a relationship, you will never succeed. This is another human being with expectation, emotions, way of life, way of thinking, experiences. And if you think that relationship are just click of a finger and you get into the right one with the right woman, you are deeply mistaken. It still requires work, even with the right person. So if you are putting yourself in the sense, this was the wrong woman for me, she disrespected me, a woman that will respect me will be somewhat of a clean slate. No, it's not going to be. Even with the right person, you still need to put in the work. The same amount of work that you put in with the wrong one. And I go back to our podcast about purpose. If you do not know how to show up for the woman that you're with, you have no luck in hell You'll have better luck freezing in there than to survive a relationship. It still requires work, regardless of whether you're with the right one or with the wrong one. So this is the thing that I keep hearing when we have these discussions of other people bringing in, oh, you know, I'll find the right one and life will be easy. That's not how it works. And if you don't know, if you haven't learned how to work on yourself and on another human being, this is where we're having these discussions where men are falling out of love and lacking attraction for their wives, or that they can't have these conversations. It's not going to be easy even with the right one.
Yeah.
So I wanted to clarify that, because I think from the conversation I often hear is that I'll just find the right one and that'll solve my problem. That's not how life works.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't like, go ahead. Oh, go ahead, Siaosi. You want to share something? Go ahead.
No. It's awesome. You're absolutely right. Yeah, go work on yourself. And I think what might be missing in our conversation is what is doing the work, right? So I think that's something you're going to have to all take a look at. What is it? What do we mean when we say go take a work? Is it like, it could be like self-development, looking yourself in the mirror and really what's going on in your head. You know, the things that you're confronted about. You got to work on the way that you reflect on life. You know, when you take a look in the mirror and when you're talking to yourself and you go, who the hell are you? Discovering yourself, who you are, and what makes you tick, and what makes you, what makes you move, and what stops you. That's the kind of work. And what makes you respond the way you respond. And when you're yelling, like, why are you yelling? Ask yourself that. What has you be so ticked off that you're yelling and you're pointing your finger at everybody else? And what has you be so pissed off that you're trying to run somebody off the road? That's the kind of work we're talking about.
Yeah.
How do you reflect on yourself? How do you love yourself from within, that you see opportunity in what's possible for the rest of human beings? Love yourself enough that you can see what's possible for those around you, is what we're asking you to do. That's what the work is. And then some, and then some. It's the mountain that that's topless. It's a day-to-day conversation with yourself about what the hell am I doing? How can I better myself today than I was yesterday? So you want to take a look at, how can I work on myself for the next 6 months that I'm unrecognizable? The person that I know 6 months ago is no longer there. You can't see yourself. You don't recognize the back that person 6 months ago. That's the work that we're talking about. That you get so comfortable about who you are, and it doesn't matter what you say out here, because what you say is you have completed with yourself. There's a thing that you guys said about something that you've done in the past that can come back and hurt you in vulnerability. You see, when I'm okay with everything that I've done in my past, and that it can never be used against me because I accepted who I am and what I've done, that's going to do the work. Working yourself, that you love yourself for who you are. And the world around me looks like it's love itself. And that every human being then become an equal in the eye of the Lord. Because we are, in a sense, we're the one that points fingers and crisscross and all that. Right? We're the one that's making the distinctions of, like, you're different, I'm different, and we're all different. At the end of the day, we're all one and the same. You are me and I am you. And we have our experiences of life. That's it. It's a human being.
All right. No worries, Siaosi. Man, thank you for dropping that. That was Joe on the live chat said, "Let the OG preach." All right, no worries, Joe. Malo, thank you so much, Siaosi, for sharing that. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, Professor. I do hear a lot of people on the live chat, but also people in the social media. They will always say, always going to back up when, I'll always move on to the next option. But for me, is that I always believe, like, things don't get better. You just get better. Life doesn't get easier. You just get better. And usually when I see a lot of people always talking about options, always talking about, if something bad happens, they always move on to the next person, and all the relationships that didn't work out. The one thing I will say to that person, okay, all those past relationships, who was the common denominator? It was you. So sometimes you have to look within yourself and ask yourself, hey, if you keep moving on to the backup plan, to the backup plan, to the backup plan, it's not working. At some point, you got to look within yourself that out of all those backup plans, the only one that's common and the common denominator is you. So you got to look within yourself. So just wanted to share that. But yeah, I truly believe that. Thank you so much, everybody on the live chat. Rose and Joe, thank you so much for the live chat, for the big super chat donation. Shout out to you, Joe. And I see Salate jumping on at the very end. Hey, Salate. Hey, good to see you, Salate. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the live chat. And fellas, a big shout out to the fellas on the panel. Siaosi and Paul Fessa dropping some power. We had some powerful conversations tonight. Thank you so much. We have come to the end, to the conclusion of the podcast. If you're watching this right now, don't forget to like and subscribe so you get notification when we do go live every single Friday for the next Mastermind podcast. And I think we did a pretty great job, fellas. I know it was there's going to be a hot topic to discuss and controversial topic to discuss, but I think we had a great conversation tonight, trying to break down, how should a man talk to his wife if she is fat. And of course, the ladies, appreciate all the ladies on the live chat for your perspectives and your feedback. Even though this may be some very sensitive topic for a lot of you ladies out there, but thank you for participating in the live chat and letting us know what you guys think as women. But yeah, we have come to the end. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time when we do go live next Friday. You guys, everybody in the live chat, you guys have a great night. See you guys next time. Peace, y'all. Peace. All right.